Hello everyone! So today we're going to be talking about solar and lunar eclipses. With eclipse season coming up, I wanted to get into what actually eclipses are astronomically, like what's happening in the sky, what the nodes are, because that's basically what makes eclipses happen, what you can try or do during this time of eclipses, and the difference between solar and lunar eclipses. So to understand eclipses, I'm going to jump right into it, and I made this little chart to kind of explain it a little better. Basically, you have to understand that the orbit of the moon and then sort of the orbit of the sun in comparison to the Earth are sort of like hula hoops, but they're in opposite directions. I'll put this little graphic that I made here, but basically, whenever you have a new moon or a full moon, which happens once a month, each of those. So a new moon is whenever they are on the path of those hula hoops and they are in the exact same spot. That is a new moon. And then the full moon is when they're exactly opposite of each other. And that's what makes the sun reflect the light off the moon so we can see it. But because they're angled, they're not ever exactly on top of each other. That is until they hit the nodes, which are the 2 points where the hula hoops meet, and that is in astrology called the north node and the south node. So if you take a new moon, for example, where the sun and the moon are joined up, at one point they might, in just a normal new moon, they'll just be on the same point in that hula hoop. But whenever they're near a node, they are like right on top of each other. That's why when you go and look at an eclipse in the sky, it's like actually like you can see the sun around it because it's like fully exactly covered. And that goes for full moon too. So whenever the sun is near one of the nodes, which is that point where the hula hoops meet basically, and the moon is opposite, that makes a full moon, that makes an eclipse as well. So basically eclipses are just full moons and new moons like normal, except they're near the nodes. And the nodes are those points that are where the two hula hoops meet. That is the base summary of eclipses. And just for terminology's sake, solar eclipses are when new moons are near those nodes, and lunar eclipses are when full moons are near the nodes. And what's actually happening during the solar eclipse, because that's a new moon where the sun and the moon are right on the same path point, the moon is right between us and the sun. So basically it's like all of the sun's light is blocked by the moon at that point. And then the lunar eclipse is the opposite. So it's on the earth is the one in between the moon and the sun. And again, it's at the mathematical point called the north node or the south node. And during the lunar eclipse, the earth is between the sun and the moon. So the earth's shadow is on the moon because the light is literally being blocked by the earth that's going to the moon. So yeah, that's how it looks super different. And if you struggle to remember the difference between how they look as the solar and lunar eclipse, something that helps me remember, maybe this isn't the same for everyone, but I used to struggle with this. So the solar eclipse is where the solar, the sun is eclipsed, you can't see the sun as much. And the lunar eclipse is when the lunar, the moon, is eclipsed and you can't see the moon as much, basically. Anyways, now that you know a little bit about when eclipses happen and kind of actually what's happening in the sky and the difference between the two, let's get into the astrology aspect of it. So in astrology, those two nodes are those points in the sky. The north node and the south node, they have different meanings. So the north node is often associated with your destiny, where you're meant to go, what you're meant to learn in your life. It might be somewhere that you had trouble growing up, or maybe you still do, and that's a part of your life that you're going to grow into. And that depends on where it is in your birth chart, of course. And there are some websites that don't show you where the south node is on your chart, but just know it's always exactly opposite of the north node. So wherever the north node is in your chart, the opposite is where the south node is. And the south node is also the opposite in terms of its meaning as well. So the south node is where you've come from, what you've grown from, It can be like past hurts and things like that. And because the orbits of the sun and moon basically in this little thing, they're always spinning, so the nodes are moving around your chart. So that's why you might hear people say like, oh, the north node is moving into this sign, because it's happening for everyone where it's moving. The hula hoops are always like opposite like this, but they're slowly spinning, so like the actual point is moving too. It's super slow though, so it's about 4 years per sign. So before I explain real quick, full moons and new moons are really important points in astrology, just because they bring different things, and I will get into that as well. But since they happen near the nodes, it affects that part of your like destiny or your healing or that kind of thing. So seeing what area of your life it is in your chart is why people is part of why people read their charts, to see how anything affects them. So that's why I'm suggesting that you follow along. If you don't know, that's why I'm going to explain. And if you don't know how to read your birth chart or kind of what I'm talking about in that sense, I'm going to now go ahead and explain how to read your birth chart briefly. I do have a whole video going like really in depth on this with like some graphics to help you understand a little better, at least in the way that helped me learn. But I will go ahead and sort of briefly explain that so you can follow along and see how it's going to affect you as well. So whenever you want to read your birth chart, you first want to look up like free birth chart calculator online, and I use a site called Astromatrix. Some people use AstroSeek. Whatever you like more is totally fine. You'll just have to put in your birthday, birth time, birth location as well, and then once you type all that in and just press continue, you're gonna see like a circle with a bunch of crazy things on it. Don't worry, I will explain it. But if you take the circle and you remove all the crazy symbols and stuff, you're left with a circle that has 12 little pie slices on it. And those pie slices are different parts of your life. So there's one for your appearance, there's one for your money, there's one for your relationships or your career, that sort of thing. And the whole premise of astrology is as planets move into those different parts of your life, they bring different things. And the signs are all on the different little parts of your life as well, and the signs are in different places for everyone. So that's why we're all affected in different ways. But basically, whenever you look at your birth chart, you're gonna see, so your birth chart is where the planets and stuff were when you were born, because that's never gonna change. It was just like a screenshot of where they were and what areas of your life they were in. And so the inner part of that circle where the symbols are on the inside is your birth chart. That's where they were when you were born. That's sort of like your core like attributes and stuff. So where you might have the north node in a certain area of your life, that might be where you have growth through, and it's like a big learning point in your life. It's like your destiny sort of in a way, throughout your life. That's like who you are at your core. That's never going to change. But there's the same symbols on the outer part of the circle, and the outer part of the circle is the transit chart. That's what's happening in the sky right now. So a lot of astrology is just comparing your birth chart to the transit chart because they affect each other in different ways. But anyways, whenever you're looking at your birth chart, you want to look for these symbols. Again, the south node may not be there, but the north node, look for the north node, and the south node will be directly opposite. But these two symbols are the north and south node, and wherever they are in your chart, in your birth chart, is where those aspects are going to be basically affected at your core. I could talk about the nodes for a really long time because it's a huge part of astrology. But basically, like going back to solar eclipses and lunar eclipses, is those happen when new moons or full moons happen near the nodes. And since the hula hoop, how I explained before, is always spinning, that point is always moving, that point is going to be in a different spot in your chart. It may be where your birth one is, but the current one is where solar and lunar eclipses happen, because the one that's in your birth chart, like in the center, is just where it was when you were born. So you'll want to go to where the north node and south node are on the outer part of the circle, because that's how to find where the upcoming eclipses are going to be happening for you. And if you want to see exactly where it's going to be, if you change the date on the birth chart to August 12th for the first one, that will show you where the solar eclipse is going to be happening. So just change the date and then you can see what pie slice it's in. And yeah. And then August 27th or 28th, depending on your time zone, is going to be the lunar eclipse. So you can also go to that day and see where it's going to be. And okay, so whenever you go to the August 27th to 28th one, for example, you're gonna see that the node has already moved into Aquarius. And that happens for everyone again, but these signs are in different places on your chart, so it's gonna be in a different area of your life. The sign just sets like the mood of that area, basically. So whenever you look at the August 27th to 28th one, I think this is a really good example to learn. The node is going to be in Aquarius, but you want to base it off of where the moon is. And because the moon is really close to the node, that makes it an eclipse still. But the moon is going to be in Pisces, so it's going to be a totally different vibe, basically. But anyways, that is just how to find out on your birth chart and kind of what you're looking for. And those areas of your life I have explained in the other video, but I will put up this graphic that I made for that video, explaining what each of those little pie slices mean so that you can reference it and see how these solar and lunar eclipses are going to affect you. And this will also obviously be different if you're watching this way in the future when it's not in Leo, but I hope that this was enough to be able to explain where to find it and where to figure out where it's happening for you whenever you're watching this. So now, astrologically, let's look at solar versus lunar eclipses. So whenever you look at a solar eclipse, like I was saying before, how that is a new moon, just near the node, basically. So you want to first look at what a new moon is. And like I explained before, a new moon is when the sun and the moon are right next to each other. And that's how it's going to look on your birth chart as well. But when it's a solar eclipse, it's right next to the node. And so normal new moon themes are sort of like fresh starts, new beginnings, trying new things. It's like the planting of seeds of like really starting the new things, if that makes sense. Whereas a lunar eclipse is a full moon near the node. So that is sort of like the harvesting of seeds. So where the new moon is like, well, let's start this new thing, let's try this new thing. And then the full moon is like, okay, let's review what we started and let's see what's working. Let's take away what's not working. Kind of like a reviewing and reflection point. So whenever these happen near the nodes, it's like a big checking point that involves your destiny. So like, let's say the North Node is involved, for example, with the solar or lunar eclipse. It's gonna involve where you're meant to go. Like you might start something new that is like really changing, and it might not feel like that way at first, but you might look back later and be like, oh my gosh, that one thing is what catapulted me forward or whatever. And even if you feel like you're going backwards or something during this time, it's like you have to remember that a lot of times in life, you have to view it like a slingshot. I always tell myself this whenever I feel like, oh, like I'm so frustrated with myself, I'm not doing a lot, and I feel like unmotivated. Think of it as like a slingshot where you're like pulling yourself backwards, like you have to go backwards before you launch forwards. So like the full moon one where it's a lunar eclipse is like you want to like review and reflect, like what am I doing wrong, what am I doing right, what's not working for me that may be working for other people but I just can't do it myself. Where can I make my habits better, that sort of thing. It's like the reflection point. You want to have that be your steps back where you're like, okay, let's take a step back, let's look at everything. That way you can really focus on what is working and how to adjust. But like I said, because these are near the nodes, which are like big life-changing decisions and moments, it's with the solar eclipse, let's say, it could be like new beginnings, new chapters in your life, like brand new doors open up. It can be really unexpected as well. And for the solar eclipse that's happening August 12th, it's really interesting actually, and you can of course go and see in the chart like if this is happening near any of your natal planets, because that's going to make a big difference. And those are those symbols that are in there, which I can put here like a little graphic that I also made for that first video, talking about like what the symbols are for like which planet is which symbol basically. But anyways, the solar eclipse actually has the Jupiter near it, and if you don't know, Jupiter is all about expansion and growth and just luck and abundance, sort of. And they're not right on top of each other, but they are in the same sign, so they're kind of providing like the same energy, which is Leo, which is going to be very like proud and confident and charming energy. And Mercury is here too, which Mercury is a planet of your mind and how you learn and grow and how you expand, sort of. And again, this is going to be totally different depending on when you watch this video, if there are eclipses in the future that you're watching this for, but this is just the example I'm providing for this video, just to kind of explain. But anyways, Jupiter being here is such a great thing. They're not super close to each other, like I said, but because it's near the solar eclipse, this is like brand new fresh starts, new beginnings. Jupiter wants you to like do things in a big way, like really expand yourself. And it being in Leo is like, don't apologize for what you're doing or like what you're asking for or expecting of yourself or others or whatever. So the solar eclipse is to really start things that are like brand new big things. Even like if it's so scary, like this is the time to just say screw it and just do it. And don't apologize for it either, because that's like very Leo energy, is just being yourself unapologetically. And so you want to take that energy and grow with it, Jupiter, which grows and stuff, and then take the solar eclipse that is fresh beginnings that are going to alter your life direction, literally. So try the new thing, even if it scares you. And this doesn't matter what house this is happening in for you, or which pie slice, if you don't know. It's just try and start the scary thing anyways. Just do it. And if you are like so overwhelmingly scared, like you cannot bring yourself to start the new thing, start with the smallest thing that you can do. So like something I've said in my past videos, whenever new moons come up where it's like starting fresh things, sometimes it can be really helpful to like write out where you want to be a year from now. Like, what do you want exactly? Like, do you want a house? Do you want whatever? And then you can write down every single step, literally from like putting your shoes on if you want, every single step that you would have to take to get there. And you're like, oh my God, like this is freaking hard, or this is intimidating or whatever. Just start with the first one. Literally just get up right then and there and put on your shoes. And then the next day, put on your pants or whatever. Like, just start taking the tiny steps that take literally 10 seconds, and you'll start to see how quickly it builds up. And you're like, oh, putting my shoes on is like not as hard anymore, or like getting out of the house and stuff like that. So like, you want to take the first small step, even if it's scary, because if you think about it, like the dream life that you have, you're gonna be the same you who has all those things. It's just about whether or not you took the step that was scary, to figure out if it worked out. Also, there's no harm in trying. Like, let your curiosity really guide you during this time, because it's like you have to, if you approach things curiously and be like, instead of being terrified, let's say, because if you are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this, it's not going to work out for me, or like, I'm not the type of person who does that, don't say that. Because one, you don't know that, you haven't tried it, so why are you judging yourself? And two, again, you don't know how it's going to turn out until you've tried it. You can tell yourself, okay, I'm going to try it once, and then if I hate it, I'll never have to do it again. Like, just view it like that. And then once you do it and you're like, okay, that wasn't actually that bad, then it's not so bad. And you can keep taking those steps and keep trying new things and putting yourself out there, and it will really change your life, I swear. If you start with the small things and really commit to it, I believe it will change your life. And let it expand you. Let your curiosity lead you, because Mercury and Jupiter are here. Mercury is like curiosity's like best friend. It's all about how you grow and learn and stuff. And it being here with Jupiter is like the best thing that you can ask for, because Jupiter wants to expand everything. And so it wants to literally expand your mind. And if you take the scary steps, that's exactly what's going to happen. And if you don't know, the angles that planets make to each other, they're called aspects. In astrology, those do different things, and they either have those two planets like work together, or they kind of clash and have tension. And at that time, it's actually really rare, like, event, because Jupiter is at 9 degrees at this time. Uranus is just going into 5 degrees, but it was at 4 degrees. Neptune is at 4 degrees and Pluto is at 4 degrees, and they're all like making angles to each other. So like Pluto is sextiling Neptune, and Neptune is sextiling Uranus, Uranus is sextiling Jupiter, Jupiter is opposite Pluto, so on. Like, just Jupiter's trine Neptune, Pluto is trine Uranus. Sorry, that was a lot. I'm just staring at this chart, like, trying to process. But basically, I know that's like a lot, and if you don't know what aspects are, it's gonna be really confusing. But basically, they're all just making different angles to each other, but most of those angles are really supportive. Like, Pluto is the planet of like power and transitions and like big changes in your life. So that being opposite Jupiter, it might be like you're being pulled in two different directions, but let yourself take that as like, pick a side, pick which direction to go in and try it. And you can always try the other direction if it doesn't work out, you know? That is the only like somewhat negative aspect if you see it. And it's not even negative, it's just that it wants balance. It's not like in a bad way at all. So it's like Pluto wanting like those deep changes and transformations, your growth and how you grow and learn and stuff is going to be opposite that. So it's like you're trying to balance both of those things at once. You're like trying to bring big changes into your life in wherever Pluto is for you, but the Jupiter is trying to grow in the other direction. So just try, see what happens in both ways. Just try it. And Uranus sextiling Jupiter at this time is really like a helping hand. It's such a big opportunity sort of thing, where it's like Uranus is the planet of sudden change, instability. It really just brings things out of nowhere. So like you might have a seriously like opportunities come out of nowhere during this time, and that might help support the new things starting. It may be like something random pops up that's not necessarily a good thing, but it changes your life in a better like trajectory overall. And then Neptune is the planet of your imagination. It's like your intuition, your dreams. It's like that deeper layer, basically. And since that's trining Jupiter, and Jupiter is right next to the solar eclipse, that's also going to be like really strong energy between those two things. You might feel super creative during this time too, because Neptune is all about like your like imagination and stuff, and then Jupiter is expanding all of that. So it's like, where are you wanting to grow in that way? Or like maybe you'll have new spirituality sort of things come up. All in all, with all of the aspects being made to this solar eclipse in particular, just let yourself grow. Just let it happen. Let yourself be curious and try the thing. I know it's scary. I know it is. But you will not be able to be the person you want to be without taking the risk. And all you have to do is just let yourself be curious and take the scary jump and see what happens. Just try it. Try the new thing. Now, when we talk about the lunar eclipse, so the lunar eclipse is going to be, like I said before, where new moons are planting seeds and full moons are harvesting those seeds and really reflecting on what's happened and whatnot. The lunar eclipse will be a time where you look back on just overall, just anything throughout your life. And I mean, especially things that you have started in the past year or something like that. Look back and see where you can improve, where you can grow. It's just really a time of like reflection. And since the moon is opposite the sun during full moons, and since this is a lunar eclipse, it's going to be sort of like a tension energy between the sun and the moon, though that happens every month. This is just going to be on a grander scale, sort of. And because this is in Pisces in particular, of course, this is going to be different if you're watching this at a different time. But Pisces is such like a dreamy sign. It's like very similar to Neptune, where it's like your intuition. It's like living in your head a lot. I live in my head all the time, and my moon is in Pisces normally, so but yeah, so that's just like kind of the vibe of the time. But you want to like really reflect on your life in wherever Pisces is in your chart, and of course where Virgo is, because that's where the sun will be in the south node. And the moon is going to be making a square to Uranus at that time, because Uranus is in Gemini. Those are 90 degrees from each other. And I find them really interesting. It's almost an exact square, like almost down to the exact degree. And I think that's super interesting because things, like I said before, things might come out of nowhere, like very suddenly. And it might force you to be in a place where you have to like reflect on things and really get rid of what's not working for you and really look at where can I improve? Where can I do something differently? And that's going to change your life, literally. Because no matter what, if you reflect on what you've been doing and you see what's not working and you completely change your course based on that, or even just one little thing you change, that's going to change how everything turns out for you. This is a perfect time to look at what is working, what's not working, where can I improve, where can I change what I'm doing, and where do I want to be in the future, and how can I make myself get there? And of course, this is also going to be affected by any natal planets that you have. Same thing with the solar eclipse. So it's really important that you look at where planets are in comparison to these, because a lot of times if planets are right on top of the moon or the sun in your birth chart, that's going to affect you in a way bigger way, just depending on what the planet means. So all in all, solar eclipses are new beginnings. Since it's a new moon near the node, it is a new moon that is amplified by your destiny and where you're meant to go and where you're meant to learn from. And that is going to literally change the trajectory of your life. Like literally, I cannot exaggerate. So try the new thing, do the scary thing, and start the new things. Just let yourself be curious. And with Leo, don't apologize for it. Be you, be charming, be proud and confident, and just do it. Where lunar eclipses, just another summary, is a full moon just near the node. So again, it's going to literally change your life if you work with it. And that is the releasing, the endings of things, and the like reflection period, and like harvesting the seeds that you've been working with. This is the time to like reflect and get rid of the old, make room for the new. It's like both the solar and lunar eclipses are viewed as like metaphorical death and rebirth, of like actually starting new things and completely getting rid of old things to change your life. Like if you take the example I've been giving of new moons where it's like planting the seeds, think of like a new moon as like you're planting the seeds in this little pot, and it's so cute and it's so fun and it's something you've never done before, but it's like exhilarating, right? Take that, and a solar eclipse is like planting a freaking garden, right? It's like extra. So like truly do the scary thing. And the same thing goes for the lunar eclipse. You can also start new things on lunar eclipses as well. It's the time where you decide what isn't working for you and what is working for you. So take that and work with it and move your life forward. Same sort of thing. You look back and be like, oh my gosh, I have this giant garden. Where can I improve it? What are my favorite flowers? How can I plant more of those flowers? Should I grow vegetables? Maybe I want to grow vegetables. You know what I mean. Something to know about eclipses in general. Lots of people are scared of them because it's such a big change that's coming and you can't expect it. And especially with Uranus involved, even though it's just a sextile to the first one, and then it's a square to the second, in this one in particular at least. But a lot of people get scared of them, but Uranus being involved, it's going to bring sudden change. It's going to literally just bring things that come out of nowhere, and it's up to you whether you work with it. And it's not something to be scared of. While something bad might happen, that's just life. Like bad things are gonna happen, good things are gonna happen, but I wouldn't view it as oh my God, something bad is going to happen. I think you have to view it as a point that changes your life. It's going to change how you grow in your life, and it's up to you to work with it. Because sometimes some of the biggest changes in your life end up becoming the biggest like blessings, and sometimes it starts out really, really hard. And so I'm not gonna say that something hard isn't gonna happen or something great isn't gonna happen. It's just the way life is going to go for you. This is going to change how it's been going. So I would totally talk about how this is going to affect you based on what house it's in particular, but I wanted to make more of a general video. I know I talked about like Leo and the ones coming up in particular, but I know that this is something that happens every year, so it's something to just know in general. So I hope that even if you're watching this at a time where the solar and lunar eclipses aren't happening where I was talking about, you can still kind of take the examples and compare it to the chart based on where it is then. But yes, I will make a video on each, the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse in particular, like being more specific based on how it's going to affect you, based on what house it's in for you and stuff like that. I'm gonna make those closer to the date, but for now, just as like a general solar versus lunar eclipse video, I wanted to go ahead and explain that. But that is it. I hope this example made a lot of sense, or this whole video as a whole. I know I kind of just like, it was a lot of information, but I hope that the pictures and stuff helped. And I'd love to know where these eclipses are happening for you and which one you're more excited for, lunar or solar eclipse, and how eclipses have affected you in the past, because I'm still learning and everyone else is still learning, so it's just really helpful to be able to see that. And I also make designs on Redbubble if you want to check that out and support me there. I have a link to that in the description, where it's just like little astrology designs that I make and put on like t-shirts and bags and stuff like that. But yes, if you like the video, please comment, subscribe, like, it really helps me out. And if there's anything that I missed, please let me know in the comments so that I can improve upon it next time. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye!